do the easy work. They do the hard work. So they should get more blessings than we get. And so he has that big responsibility at this Muslim organization called the Muslim Assembly. The others, because they are hard at work, they can't be here. We are the ones like birds, we can fly, but they sit down and work. There's brother, what's his name, Aklika? Abdul Alim Aklika in Ladysmith, right here in South Africa, would dearly love to be here. He studied under Maulana Fazl Rahman Ansari himself. But Abdul Alim cannot be here because his students are there, the classes he is conducting, the institute that he has is more important than coming here. So he couldn't come. Yeah. The International Islamic Retreat had its origins in a curious thing called the, I don't know whether you've heard of it, the internet. I'm not sure whether it was Dajjal who created it. In order to, spy. Marvelous instrument for spying, eh? But because of the internet, it now became possible for so many more people to get to know me and to also correspond with me. It's no longer a mail that you put in the box and it takes 2-3 weeks to reach. Something called an email, and you just click and it reaches, you know about it, instantaneously. So a number of people started writing to me and said they want to come and study with me, and I constantly said no, I have no facilities, nothing. But a sister from San Francisco, an African American sister, she didn't ask permission to come. She came. And not only did she come, she came with a group of 11 people. I spent a week. She spent a week. It was a glorious week. I spent part of the time teaching them and part of the time introducing them to the local Muslim community and so on. And out of that experience of 1 week with them was born a retreat that will last for 1 week. That we would, all those who want to come, we say come, and we spend 1 week. And so we had the first, we use the word retreat, although it has been almost hijacked by the Christians, because of the word in the Quran, وَتَبَتَّلْ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا, withdrawal. And the philosophy behind it is we want you to put away your cell phones and put away all the baggage of the world and just come and spend a week and get to know each other, withdrawing from that dunya. And in the process of withdrawing from the dunya, we take you back to the Quran. So we use the word retreat as the best word we can find in English, but not because we are copying the Christians. And it was held in Trinidad. One of those who worked very hard for that retreat in Trinidad is here with us today. And she's a sister and she's sitting at the back, so you'd want to meet with her. Her name is Sister Salima. In fact, she was Christian. And a couple of years ago she came with her son and her daughter to a class that I was conducting. At the end of the class she said, we want to take the Shahada. And she took the Shahada and never looked back. Never looked back, and became more and more firm in her faith. And although there are so many more in Trinidad who would love to be here, who wanted to be here, who could afford to pay the travel expenses to be here, but could not come. Many of them sisters. But Salima is here, alhamdulillah. We decided to have a second retreat here in Cape Town because there's something spiritual about this city, something marvelously spiritual about this city. My teacher Maulana Fadl Rahman Ansari had very strong ties with Cape Town. And his teacher before him, Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui Rahimahullah, had very strong ties with Cape Town. And then I found when I came to Cape Town just embraced me. Other parts of South Africa were friendly and warm and so on, but this was different. And in January of 2008, a team of which Fakhri was part, and Muhammad Abraham was part, and Ibrahim was part, and their wives with them, all of them with their wives, organized 1 month of da'wah work in Cape Town, which was the most marvelous that I had experienced. Part of it was the Christian-Muslim dialogue that was organized for the University of Cape Town, and you may have seen on the internet, with Bishop Quinlan. And it made such a good impact. So we chose Cape Town, and that's why you're here today. But Cape Town also, because Cape Town is in Africa. Cape Town is in Africa. And while we're losing hope for other parts of the world of Islam, we will never lose hope for Africa. Not for Africa. No. Others may forget the deen. But I don't think Africa will forget the deen. And Cape Town brings all of Africa together. Other parts of this country are still parochial, but this city embraces all. After Cape Town, I hope that we can organize one more that I will participate in, because I'm growing a very old man now. I'll be 70 years of age while traveling, if I live for another 11 months. So he's still a young man. Still a young man. So the next retreat will probably be either in Malaysia or in Brunei, but more of that later. The retreat was organized for me to teach in a bigger group what I had been teaching in smaller groups and in my writing. What is it? There are many scholars of Islam who teach and are very profound in their learning, are far more learned than I am. And may Allah bless them for the work that they're doing. The law of inheritance. Don't ask me. I can only give you the elementary part of the subject. You've got to devote time and attention and effort to study the law of inheritance in Islam. And they are people who spend years devoted to their branches of knowledge. So this retreat is organized for something else, something specific. What is it? Maulana Fadl Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah established an Institute of Islamic Studies which did more than teach the traditional branches of Islamic learning. No. He insisted that we must also study something that he called modern thought. Modern thought. And modern thought was the gateway to understanding the modern world. And so as students, you would be amazed to know that in the classroom we had to study the philosophy of history. Really? And we had a scientist come in our classroom to teach us the philosophy of science? Really? In a Darul Uloom? What Maulana was doing was building the foundation on which we would have to build after we graduated. He did not lead us to it because we were too green. We were too, you have to creep before you could walk. So he did not attempt to use the Quran to explain the modern world. Because if he had done that, we would have been confused. We young men. He knew that the time would come after he had given us the foundation that we needed and showed us the way, that we would ourselves now do this homework. And that's what the retreat is for. We live in a strange world today. It's not only a changing world, but it is changing in a mysterious way. And as some of you may have heard, if we do not seek to understand what's going on in the world, we got peanuts in our head. You heard that one, didn't you? Yeah. If we do not seek to understand what's happening in the world today, we got peanuts in our head. And so we organized the retreat to bring you together so that over a period of 1 week, we would take you to the Quran and use the Quran and use he who was sent to teach the Quran to explain the world today. In the process of doing that, we will have to enter into virgin territory. We'll have to extend the frontiers of knowledge as traditionally we're exposed to traditionally. And so we always have to say Allah knows best. If you're not comfortable with what is being taught, you don't have to accept it. No. You can ask Ali Mustafa, you can ask Muhammad Ali Khan, no student gave Maulana Ansari more trouble than Imran Hussain. I gave him the most trouble because I never accepted anything that he taught me unless I was convinced. So I'd go to him. I don't know where I got the courage from at 21 years of age, 22. Maulana, I don't agree with you. And he would smile. He would smile. And then 3 months later, I'll go to him and say, Maulana, now I agree with you. Because for those 3 months, I was battling to understand. So when I find a student who is always in agreement with me, I'm not impressed. No. But when I find a student who critically assesses something that is taught and will refuse to accept it until he's convinced that it is the truth, now I know that is a man who can take the truth to the world in the years that lie ahead. And so what we're going to be doing over the next 1 week is turning to the Quran and turning to the Ahadith to try to explain the mysterious world in which we live today, to explain it and to gain an insight into where it is heading. One last thing before we end. Central to this effort, of pivotal importance to this effort, is something called methodology. Methodology. We got nothing more important from our teacher than methodology. How to study the Quran. And during the week that you will be with us, we will teach methodology for the study of the Quran and for the study of the modern world. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may bless this week.